I have proven that the STX model works, giving traders the ability to find key inflection points using option premiums and understand what strikes work, how far the range is, and once that level has been breached, what opportunity can exist and how far along can it go. So in today's session, we're going to be talking about the STX model again, going over our gamma report, how we give concise predictions daily, and we also give weekly predictions to help us with our decision-making ability. This information will also help you understand of what's to come going forward, what are the key things you need to look for, and we're going to be talking a little bit about the news as well on key things you need to look for Friday's trading days. Usually I share all this information every Thursdays so that traders know exactly how we did and what are we looking for on Friday. So let's get straight into it. So this week we've seen that the market made a massive reversal. We've been seeing that the market has been pretty much fluctuating significantly, and now the tide has shifted from being bearish to now being bullish. So the first thing that we pretty much want to get clear is looking through our weekly analysis. In our market sentiment report, if we look at our SPX chart, we pretty much predicted that the S&P 500 estimated top was around 55.15. Okay, you can see that the market pretty much was trading in our neutral range. It retested the 5400 and then just ran up non-stop over here. Okay, now when it hit 55.15, this is on a 30-minute chart, it actually dropped 15 points off this number. So this was a tough level, but this happened during the CPI report. Okay, now the market tends to move and break my estimated weekly high when there's positive news elements that are causing a dynamic shift. This includes, so the CPI was pretty much bullish, although it was slightly a tad higher. The fact remains is that it's relatively low, so the fact that it came slightly a bit higher is meaningless, and the market liked it. Now the key news that really moved the market was the GS event conference, where they have a lot of showcasing AI. NVDA really picked up the market then, and that had to do with their development saying that AI is a new revolution, and that they gave a guidance on their Blackwell chips. So that in turn, when NVIDIA rips, everything pretty much rips, because a lot of suppliers and stocks rely on NVIDIA's to pretty much take it up. So when that news came out and Jensen talked about, that's when the market started to really run non-stop over here. Okay, you can see exactly that once my estimated weekly high broke and this 55.22, you see that there's a little bit of turbulence there. But once you're in my bullish breakout zone, you see breakouts happen here non-stop, and this of course is time-stamped. Now if we look at the stocks here as well, we'll start off with QQQ analysis. Okay, so QQQ analysis, we see in our estimated weekly high break, and pretty much the weight was, the market was really strong on the tech side. So once the estimated weekly high broke, you see that the level 2 bullish broke. We were going through the bullish breakout zone, and you can see that level 3, this is where the market stopped right to the T at 473.89. Okay, and this was given on the 7th, on the beginning of the week here. Okay, our IWM is pretty much trading in range here. Not really much going on. The small caps weren't the key leader here. Okay, now if we look at our main stocks over here, I'll go through this very quickly here. But Tesla, so Tesla also broke out in our bullish breakout range at 223, 232. You can kind of see that once it got to that 223, it started to really rip, and that if you're looking to trade this above this level here, this is where you kind of want to see what works, right? So if I was here, I'll probably say, okay, maybe the 230 calls would have worked, and that's when you work on the premiums. You see all the information here. You see that it's time-stamped on a Sunday before the week starts. And NVIDIA here. So we've been saying that NVIDIA 110 is our estimated weekly high. Sounds kind of low, right? But it had news. When the news was strong, and Jensen came out on Wednesday, it was on Wednesday. When he spoke on Wednesday, and the stock was pretty much in our chop range. It looked kind of bearish at first, But as soon as he came out, this stock just absolutely exploded. You can see a bullish breakout, 110. 120 calls are in range, so you know that helped you make the decision off the news. Whenever there is positive news and you're at my estimated weekly high and there's a bullish breakout zone, you know this is a stock to take, and that's where it went. NVIDIA has a possibility of going to 127 here, but it is possible that if the market's kind of weak, it may drop to this 117 and retest this 200-day moving average. Now AMD, you see right over here, timestamped on the 8th, beginning of the week. I gave my estimated weekly high on this around 150. It's just slightly above at 151. It's pretty much struck around here, but it's at our bullish breakout zone area. Okay, two things you can do with AMD here. You can either add a week, but if the market is really moving tomorrow, then you can pretty much see this run potentially 10 points. I actually like AMD into tomorrow, and especially if it gets any news upgrades or if it gets any sort of details here, you know that the 160s are going to be in play here. Okay, so let's just assume that AMD rips to 154 because it gets an upgrade, right? If it gets an upgrade here, you have an opportunity to, I will probably say, get the 158s under 2, because if you do get the 158s and it rips to 160 and you buy it at 2, then you're pretty much gonna only get 2 because the max gain is at 160. So if you're buying the 160 call, you have to make sure that you get it like at 30 cents or 50 cents. Okay, so that's how this information helps traders, because you see that the strikes here, and then through my details on reading premiums, you can kind of figure out what works. So these levels are cultivated by reading premiums, because how I know that this is going to be a major bullish zone, bullish breakout zone, is because when I analyze premiums, if it gets to this 150, that is going to cause the call writers that wrote contracts to pretty much buy equity to hedge their risk, especially once it starts to get around this 150 zone. And SMCI over here as well. So SMCI managed to recover here as well. Pretty much it was choppy at first, and broke through our estimated weekly high in the bullish breakout zone over here. Not a fan of SMCI yet. I think it needs a little bit more time to pretty much cultivate here. Same information there. We didn't really trade LRCX, one of my favorite stocks to play. So we called this to the T here. On Tuesday, I was actually considering the 722s and getting the 760s. But I couldn't get the fill, unfortunately, and that would have been a great swing as well. So you see right over here that if you're planning this, you know, estimated weekly highs at 770, and that was literally right on the money at 770 is exactly where it stopped, right around there. Okay, so our estimated weekly high proved to be the top on this stock over here, and you can see right over here that was time stamped on the September 8th. No edits done on this whatsoever. And ARM, another stock we called a top on potentially, right? So you can see here, I actually had ARM calls that I wanted to swing, and once it got through the chop range of 125, you see level 3 bullish breakout zone, and that started to really run around 130. So another decision here, you know what you can do. We had the 130s earlier on, and we knew that was in range, because if it gets there, that's when it can start to run. If it's, say, at 133 and you're looking at the 140s, you would say, okay, at what price are going to be good? I don't want to play the high date price. I want to make sure that I get a good entry on these in order to be successful. So that tells you exactly where's the range. If you got the 150s and paid $2 or whatever the case is, especially when it's hot, then you know exactly, okay, that wasn't not going to work, because sometimes what happens, you see the premiums outside these ranges cost so much, and that's going to screw you over. So you know what to target, max 140 throughout the week, and you knew that it will start to run. So if it broke through 133 on positive news, and let's just say you had the 140s rips to 136, you know, you got like 1 to 200% gain. Take the gain, even though it's not at 140. You know, you're in the bullish breakout zone, so you're selling on strong momentum. That's how traders know exactly, you know, this is where the fun begins, because as an option trader, you need to make your money fast. And in my bullish breakout zones, that's where you can make your money fast. Okay, Dell, another stock we did analysis on here as well. You can see it's respecting my levels. Stopped right at level 2, not really at a bullish breakout zone, so we didn't really touch this for now. Once it gets through 120, that's when it starts to really run. and ASML. So I believe I call the top on this so far as well. Stopped near my 810 mark here. Didn't really play this, but pretty much you see if it breaks this 810, it can start to run, and we're looking at that. PLTR. So we had these calls earlier on. Once it broke through this 133, it got added to the index. It started to pretty much pop, but not fully getting through to 36. Okay, so tough around there. And our estimated weekly high was around 38. Still a little bit weak here. You know, it's pretty much slowed down. It had a strong start when the market opened up, based on the news of being added to the index. Okay, so that's pretty much where you see right there. Now I want to talk about my daily levels. Okay, that's the information we provide at the beginning of the week, setting you up with the key ranges on the stocks on our watch list. But we understand that the news changes every day. There's always new things that are happening. So besides my weekly levels that you get, you also get daily levels. Okay, now the daily levels are mainly just on SPX, but it gives you the idea of what's happening. Okay, so yesterday I mentioned that SPX pretty much sees a bottom at around 5,400, right? And that's exactly where the bottom was, and we start to rip non-stop beyond that. Okay, today that was right on the money on that prediction. Today I mentioned this. Take a look at this. Majority of the probabilities range in 55.50, 55.80. Where was the market moving all day? Where was the market choppy? Okay, you can see right over here from market open today. Okay, from market open around here today, you see that the top was 55.70, 54.50. Around the zone is where the market started to move. Once the market retested 55.72, broke through this high, that's when it started to really run here. Okay, so I said that's where the majority probability is. Please note, above the bullish breakout range, as per weekly analysis, we can see this extend to 56.31, but use caution around 5600, 5610 zone. The reason why I said 5600 and 5610 zone is because as per my gamma report, that's where the top was for today, right? The bullish breakout zone I was talking about was my weekly analysis right over here, where I said, you know, we're in the bullish breakout zone, so expect some movement here. And I was referring to this. This is a possibility, but use caution around 5,600. Okay, and that's gonna help us figure out why did I take puts. I took puts at 5,600 at my level 1 bullish rejection point. This point here is how I managed to get over $4,700 in net gains by shorting this point here. Okay, once I hit level 1 bullish, we shorted it. A lot of members made money off this amazing play. We gave SPY as well, and that ripped as well. So SPY 542 at 30 cents can help, and that definitely paid a lot for the small accounts. We gave Wells Fargo puts that ripped massively. So this was yesterday. This went from 55 cents to 4 or 5 bucks. Okay, we also gave the QQQ 475 calls as well. That did insane, right? So actually that SPY play that I gave was from yesterday. Sorry, so I want to go here. Okay, so when I gave the 557, sorry, this went way higher, and I gave this level 1 rejection and Wells Fargo dump. Okay, so you see right off that point how I use my leverage, and level 1 also tells you exactly where it's gonna go, right? We've been eyeing the 5,600 premiums all day to get an idea about how far the market can go. So if we're looking at the premiums, and we'll go to that right over here, I have the 56 on the watch, right? I've been talking about it all day, right? Once it broke through 5 is when it started to really run, and we use that as a common idea about how far the market can go. So if we go back to our main screen right over here, I spoke about the 5,600 call going to 1, and that 1 was the key idea of knowing exactly how far it can rip, right? So a lot of winners here. 5,601, these went to 10 bucks. Okay, So that's where the perfect entry was. I gave all that information, and that's how we use premiums to pretty much understand about where we're gonna go. So a lot of predictions, a lot of amazing plays. If you look at the plays I gave today, it was absolutely nonstop. We gave AMD, we gave Meta calls, which all ripped. We gave pretty much NVDA calls as well. So NVIDIA calls, we got a nice 82%. I think I gave like around 5-6 plays. They all hit. We had an end of the day lotto as well, which was, very small play, but it was just a fun and games kind of thing. But overall, we crushed it, and that's how we use the STX models numbers that I prepared ahead of time, staying 10 steps ahead, so that you as a trader know exactly what to do. It takes some time to understand how the information can be compiled and how to apply it, but once you're in the mentorship, I coach you privately. We discuss different strategies. We discuss your trading lifestyle, like if you are trading remote or if you're trading on site, how can you use my model to your benefit? Because I create the model, there's a lot of back-end operation where I calculate a lot of things, but on your end, the best thing is that this is an easy to understand model. Bullish breakout, level 1 bullish. What does level 1 bullish mean? This. What does level 2 bullish means? It's trend confirmations. Now I have it over here. If we hit it here, that would mean the trend is there, and so forth. So take a look into my mentorship program. It will help you become a better trader. We're growing very fast, and a lot of people are learning how to view premiums in a different way and not focus on the other mumbo jumbo, Fibonacci, all of that. Not saying that those style is completely wrong. It's not the case, but I call my trades way in advance. In my pre-market notes, I talked about, AMD 150. I talked about LRCX. I talked about, all this stuff that pretty much allows me, and I even talked about 120 calls right off the bat around 1, and that went to around $3 as well. Okay, so I'll see you guys in the next one, and like always, let's get that money.